Welcome to the Savvy Sauce, where we have practical chats for intentional living. I'm your host, Laura Duggar, and I'm so glad you're here. Thank you to the Sue Nyhauser team for sponsoring this episode. If you're looking to buy or sell a home this season, make sure you reach out to Sue at 309-229-8831. Sue would love to walk alongside you as you unlock new doors. Carla Gasser is my guest today. Not only is she a color and style consultant, but she's also an author and a Bible teacher. We're going to discuss some very practical ways that you can discover what colors are uniquely best for you, and then learn also how you can incorporate those into your closet and into your home. I have been wanting to do an episode like this for such a long time. During undergrad, I was able to minor in fashion merchandising and even got to study abroad in Europe with a group of about 50 people. It was so exhilarating, and I've just always been drawn to topics like this one. In addition, what excites me about today is the way that Carla will talk about beauty, both inside and out. I can't wait to share this conversation with you. Here's our chat. Welcome to the Savvy Sauce, Carla.
So great to be with you today, Laura. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, I am just absolutely fascinated by your work. So can you explain a little bit more of what you get to do?
Sure. If we're talking about the outer beauty part of my business, I was trained as a certified color analysis and style consultant by Sherry Brandell, who's the owner, founder, and CEO of Style by Color. What I love most about that training is that we're independent contractors. So I was able to take that certification and everything I knew and already incorporate it into what my ministry was. And my ministry for the past 20 years is talking about how God makes us beautiful from the inside out. But I've always had this struggle because I've loved fashion and I've loved dressing and I've loved outer beauty as well, which is something that God created, right? And so a couple years ago, after I did the certification, I kind of incorporated it, and it was easier than I thought because, God is the author of beauty. God is beauty. So because I'm a Bible study teacher and I love digging into God's word, I just focused more on that. And my book and my Bible study is called The Beauty of an Uncluttered Soul. So those two things just ended up meshing beautifully for me. And it also helped me reach out to a wider audience, women who are interested about outer beauty and fashion and style and color and design, but they're looking for something more. And I could provide that for them too. So it's been wonderful. I mean, I've really enjoyed it.
Well, it's such a unique pairing. And I think,
Yes.
Is there anything you'd want to elaborate on for us as believers? So as Christians, why does it matter, both internal and external beauty?
Right. I'm speaking about this next week, and I've been starting to incorporate this in when I speak because the world has distorted beauty, right? And they have hijacked it and they have made it into something that God never designed it to be. But if we look at the other side of it, the church, I feel, sometimes has over-spiritualized inner beauty to the exclusion of outer beauty. So I was caught in that tension, and I think many believing women are. Well, outer beauty is shallow, inner beauty is spiritual. Right? And I say it's not either or, it's and both. Right? That if God created the sunsets and all the beautiful flowers and the things that make us post these, images on Instagram of his natural beauty, then God cares about beauty. And I love when it says he created them in Genesis and it was very good. The only time he uses very good is when he's talking about humans, man and woman. He created them very good. If you go back to the Hebrew word of very good, it's tov, and it means beautiful. So when I speak to women, I say, we are going to stop right now and we are going to say, I was created beautiful. And a lot of women don't say that, can't say that, are afraid to say that. And I'm here to say yes. And it's okay to express that. And I don't stand up there saying, you have to look like me or dress like me. I want you to discover your unique style, your unique beauty. It's not a one size fits all. It's not like, well, this is the trend, so you've got to wear it. I don't want to put any more pressure on women. I want to free women to embrace their God-given beauty, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Well, and one of the ways you do that is through color analysis. But
Yes.
can you walk us through like exactly what you do during a color
Yes.
analysis meeting?
Color analysis is having a moment, isn't it?
Mhm.
And what I'm finding is either if you're my age or older, and I'm in my late 50s, you remember seasonal color analysis, right? And when I start talking color analysis, those women will say to me, well, in the 80s, I was a winter, I was a spring, I was a summer, right? And what am I now? And then if you talk to my daughter's generation, like 20s and 30s, they're hearing seasonal color analysis come back too, but they're watching it on Instagram and TikTok. And they're like, well, I'm a cool summer. I'm a neutral winter. And I'm like, what is going on? This is confusing. So Sherry Brandell, like I said, the owner and founder of Style by Color, was one of the first people who was trained in Color Me Beautiful, the seasonal color system. So she knows it inside and out. And what she decided to do was to take the tenets, the basics of the seasonal color system, but expand it. So you're not going to walk out of a color analysis telling people you're a winter. We have 6 unique codes, and our codes are more illustrative of what you are. So I'm a clear, okay? There's warm, there's soft, there's cool, there's deep, and there's light. And what we're doing, and I can show a cute little chart here that helps, what we're doing is we're basing it on the seasonal color system, but we're actually giving you more colors. Because what we're doing when I say you're a soft, I am taking the softer colors, palettes, tones, and hues of summer and fall and giving them to you. So the other thing that we do that other systems don't do, we take into account your hair. In many of these systems or color analysis appointments, you'll see them put a white cap over a woman's head and just look at her face. We're like, what? Your hair has so much to do with your overall coloring. I mean, I know it's hard for you to do this, but imagine me platinum blonde. Wouldn't I look totally different if I was platinum blonde than this very dark hair I have? So we take into account your hair color. And what we're doing is we're doing tonal color analysis, meaning I am looking at your major color dominant characteristics. Like I just said, your hair color, your eye color, your skin tone. And now I'm not trying to determine whether you're cool or warm or neutral. That got the Color Me Beautiful system into like 24 color codes because they took every season and they broke it down like 6 ways and it became complicated and crazy. What we're doing is I'm comparing my skin tone to my hair to my eyes. And we give you a rating of 1 to 5. Meaning, and it's really good if we're both on camera here, people are going to see this right away. I'm a 5. I am the highest contrast level. Can we know why? I've got really dark hair and really light skin and light eyes. So I'm a 5. Now we look at you, you're not a 5. You are a lower contrast level because your hair and your skin tone when you turn are pretty similar. And your eyes kind of are in the middle there. So I would put you at a 3 or a 2. And that contrast level helps me determine your color code. Not only that, it helps me determine what prints and patterns you should wear, what jewelry you should wear. I mean, what makeup you should wear. So that is how we differ. And I feel that learning the tonal part of this and understanding contrast level was a game changer for me. And that's what I teach my clients, that once you know that, it's easy for me to put you in a color code. I also use these capes behind me that help during a color analysis, but I also do things like use patterns. This is a high contrast level pattern. So this is going to look good on someone like me, black and white. If I put a black and white on you, you're going to look like a floating head. It's not cohesive. But what you're going to look better in is something like this, because this is medium contrast. Okay, so we do that. We also talk about pop colors. Everybody, will say, well, don't take red away from me. Red's my favorite color. Don't take blue away from me. I wear blue all the time. I'm like, I'm not taking hardly any colors away from you. What I'm teaching you is when you go into a store and you want to know what red, well, my red and your red are very different, right? So I'm not taking red away from you. I'm just trying to guide you towards the right red. I'm not taking pink away from you. Oh, one color code I do. Pink away from you. I'm just telling you, I need this pink. This is my pink, right? That's my yellow. So that's what we do. We break it all down. When I do mini color analysis, I'm usually in a boutique. And I love working with boutique owners because then I can help people shop right after. But it's a 15-minute quick appointment. I give you digital downloads of your colors. Like I said, every color code gets 35 plus colors. And if you have them on your phone, when you're out shopping, you're scrolling and going, oh, I can use this. Oh, I can use this. Not only in our digital collection, we give you the trending colors twice a year for fall and winter and spring and summer. Because we both know that colors, have moments, right? Pantone picks their color of the year, which happens to be white this year, which I'm like, that's a little counterintuitive because I don't know that white's a color. But anyways, it's a neutral. So you have them on your phone and then you can decide and they update. I also have color cards for old school people like me that want the physical representation. And we sell those as well. And you can put those in your purse and you can use them. But I tell people, use them for your nail color, use them for your makeup, use them even when you're decorating your home. A lot of people gravitate to the colors that they look good in. And you can use them in other ways or even pairing colors together. How do we do that? So that is a mini one. And in that one, I'm just giving you your best neutrals, your colors to avoid, your jewelry choices. But when you come to my home, and I do it, I have a studio in my home, it's an hour and a half to 2 hours. And we go through it all. We go through it all. When I go into your closet, that's a whole different thing. And I do ask that people have a color analysis before I do a closet edit. Because once we know your colors, then organizing your closet, creating and curating a capsule wardrobe becomes so much easier.
Okay, we'll have to follow up on that. But first, I'm just so curious, which color person does not get pink?
The warm.
Warm.
The warm. So those are people usually with auburn, red hair. They're in that category. So they get all the spices. And they're the opposite of someone like me. Like I can't wear anything with like a gold yellow undertone. I can't really wear orange. The orange, I have one orange in my palette, believe it or not, but it's super bright. It's not an orange I probably would wear. One of the comments that someone made to me that said they were afraid to get a color analysis because they thought I would take too much away from them, right? I would take away their favorite colors. I would tell them they don't look good in things they look good in. Most people, it's so interesting because sometimes when you come to my home, I ask you to bring some clothes with you, like bring something that everyone says when you walk in a room, wow, you look great in that, and bring something that you don't ever reach for in your closet because you're not sure of. And people are closer than they think to knowing their they're right colors. Sometimes I kind of shake them up a bit, but I give them so much that some people say, well, I can't possibly wear all these colors. There's 36 colors here. And I try to tell people, focus on your neutrals because people have different neutrals, right? Focus on your neutrals and then add 1 to 2 pop colors per season. Because if you try to wear every color in there, that, your closet is going to be very cluttered and very overwhelming. But it really helps you declutter and focus. Because there are stores I walk into now that I literally make one loop and I walk right back out. Because they're all these light colors and palettes and warm tones, and I call it cafe latte dressing, that you would look gorgeous in. But for me, so why would I waste my time in that store, right? I walk in real quick, and I've taught women how to shop, right? Because how many of us were taught how to shop? We go in, we go to the sale rack. We go in, we look for something that's trending. We go in and we bring it home, and then we stand in front of our closet every morning and say, what? I have nothing to wear. Right? I have nothing to wear because our closets are full of things that don't match with each other, that we don't feel good in, that we might have bought because we thought it was a deal, but we don't know if they look good on us. We don't know if they work on our body shape. We don't know how to put them together with what we already have. So less really is more. I'm not trying to get people to go out and spend thousands of dollars on a whole new wardrobe. I ask, especially in a closet, we're going to work first with what you have. And then you might have to go out and buy 1 or 2 key pieces. But rarely, my last closet edit, she had to buy 3 things at the end. That was it. To make over, we talked about, we ended up making her at least 35 different outfits. Wow. With what she already had and going out and buying 3 pieces. That was it.
We'll come back shortly after a brief message from our sponsor. With over 28 years of experience in real estate, Sue Nyhauser of the Sue Nyhauser team is a RE/MAX agent of Central Illinois, and she loves to walk alongside her clients as they unlock new doors. For anyone local, I highly recommend you call Sue today at 309-229-8831, and you can ask her any real estate questions. Sue lives in Central Illinois and loves this community and all that it has to offer. When unlocking new doors with her clients, Sue works hard to gain a depth of understanding of their motivations and dreams and interests in buying and selling their home. And then she commits to extensive market research that will give them confidence in their decision. Sue truly cares for each of her clients and the relationship she forms with each family along the entire home buying or selling process. This was absolutely our experience when we worked with Sue and her team. The house that we desired at the time was actually not even on the market, but Sue had a connection and was able to ask those homeowners if they would be willing to sell. She was timely in her response as she walked us through this whole process, and she helped us sell our home with the right offer coming in hours after it was listed. We kept saying she's thought of everything, and Sue's continued generosity was astonishing. I remember one afternoon after we had settled into our new home, and she was knocking on the door, dropping off a goodie bag for our family that came from the local bakery. Our daughters also loved getting to know Miss Sue as she assisted us in finding truly our dream home. So whether you're looking to buy a home for the first time, or looking to upgrade or downsize, or making the big decision to move to an assisted living from your home of many years, Sue will be there to help you navigate the big emotions and ensure the process is smooth and stress-free, and that the new doors to be unlocked are ready and waiting for more memories to be made. So call her today at 309-229-8831 or visit her website at suenyhauser.com. Thanks for your sponsorship. Okay, so that also makes me curious when you talk about the colors that you put together.
Yes.
Do you use a color wheel, or do you have any practical ways that we can learn how to put different colors together in our home or in our closet?
Right. That goes back to the contrast level that we talked about. And it also goes back to body shape. So contrast level is, can you wear, high contrast prints or outfits? Like I can wear black and white. Would I tell you to do that? Probably not. So when you know what your contrast level is, that not only informs your prints, your patterns, your colors, it informs your outfits. Here's a quick tip about dressing for your body shape. All right, we talk about inner column versus outer column. So if you carry your weight in your belly, and this is I always tell women when I'm speaking to them, place your hands on the one area of yourself that you wish you could camouflage, right? And some of us go to our hips, some of us, we all have it, right? But if that is your area, your belly is your area, and I like to camouflage it, what you want to create is an inner column. How do you create an inner column? So if you were looking at my outfit right now, an inner column would be that this blue here, I would wear the same color pants. I've got an inner column. And then I put this jacket over it because when you look at that inner column, there's no waist definition. It's just an inner column. It makes me look taller. It makes me look thinner. It, draws the eye up to the face. We always want to draw the eye up to the face. Now, if your problem area is more your hips and you want to camouflage that, but you've got a smaller waist, then you do an outer column. Whereas with me, again, I keep the blue shirt, I tuck it in, but I wear black pants because black and black. So those are just two quick little tips that people could take away based on, an inner column also works well for people who are large chested, who want to kind of camouflage this part, who have kind of a roundness here. An outer column, again, works for people who also maybe have more of a pear-shaped or not only pear-shaped, but like an hourglass figure. An outer column would work better for. Does that help? Does that make sense?
This is so helpful. And I'm wondering, are there any principles that apply to everyone? Specifically, I'm even thinking first when it's summer and when somebody has a tan or
Mhm.
when they naturally start graying, how does that work? Does their color change?
Yes, it does. It does. And we can customize color decks and color codes. So I have a few women who are transitioning to gray. They're not there yet, but they're in between. So what I'm going to do is pull out from their deck anything that is yellowing or has that warmer undertone and keep her in the cool until, and I also say to people, if you come to me and like you're this one day and you say, Carla, I'm going to go red. I'm going to be a redhead. I will color code you again for free because that's how much I believe in the system. And that's how much I believe your hair matters for your color code. So if you change your color code and you're my color and you say, I'm going to go platinum. I just think it'll be fun. Come back, we will. So you're right. Your hair has a lot to do with it. Now, in terms of tanning, right? Same thing. I would probably just direct you. I wouldn't change your color code. I would just direct you to certain colors in your color code more than others if you're darker or lighter. Does that make sense?
That does. That's helpful.
So it's perfectly customizable. And that's the whole thing about when I tell people, when I have you as a client, you can go around and tell your friends and brag that you have a stylist because you do. You can text me. I get a lot of text from dressing rooms, women standing there in the mirror, taking the picture going, Carla, does this work? Does this not work? Do these shoes work? That's what I'm here for. I want an ongoing relationship. I do one and dones. Okay. If I'm in a boutique or something and you come in from out of town, but you can still contact me. I do virtual. I do, all these kinds of things. But I love having a client as an ongoing relationship because you might change, your body change, your season of life change. You were working, now you're not. Or you're going back to work and you haven't been working. All of those things affect what you're going to wear and how you're going to wear and where you shop. I just had a woman who, broke her foot. and she's in a boot. And she is so upset about this because we just did her closet edit. We just did her thing. Well, what shoes should I wear? So we've been working together to modify her outfits. We've been working together to get her to a place where she still feels comfortable, but she has to wear this boot. Okay, we can work around that. We can do that. And I have people who go on vacation. I have no idea what to pack for vacation. I could only have a carry-on. We're going to create a capsule wardrobe for your vacation. We can do that.
It is crazy to think of how much this plays into our lives every day. And so once you learn this, I think it can save you time and money. I'm also thinking of one other principle. We always hear about the little black dress, but the funny thing is, black is the absence of all colors. So I remember studying that black near the face, even if that's in your palette, that's not recommended. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, Carla.
Yes. I would say black near the face only works for a few of us. You're right. And I'm one of them, right? Because of this high contrast. But I still like to break it up with color myself. I'll have an interesting story for you. I had a friend who really, she should not wear black by her face at all. She is a soft color code. She got invited to a wedding and everyone had to wear black. She freaked out. I just got my colors done. What am I going to do? I have to go to this. And I said, first of all, we have to respect the bride and groom. Yes, if this is what you want and whatever. What we did, though, is we bought her a huge, chunky leopard necklace. It broke it up, and she bought leopard shoes and wore the black. So there are ways. And I say to people when I take away black from you and you have all these black clothes at home, I'm like, I don't want you to donate everything to Goodwill, but we're going to think of ways to break this up. And one of the ways we break it up near the face is a larger necklace, a scarf, a third piece like this, a vest, or a cardigan. There are ways to do it without going home and saying, oh my word, I have to throw everything away. And then I'll try to redirect those people. Okay, now that you know your neutrals are no longer black, there are a lot of other great neutrals out there. Dark brown, gray, navy. So now when you go shopping, don't throw all your black away, but start incorporating other neutrals into your wardrobe that are softer for you and work better for you. And like you asked before too, are there some colors that everyone can wear? And I could give you one. There's a couple, but one color that is kind of the universal color that everybody has in about the same shade is teal. It's kind of the couch you're sitting on. If I read it correctly in your on the video, teal is kind of a universal color. So that's something.
I had no idea. I love that.
Yeah.
And have you ever even studied the psychology related to colors? For instance, how we can perceive people differently when they are dressed in their best color?
No, I haven't personally studied that, but I have seen women. Like I just got a testimony the other day. I was asking some of my clients, like, what would you say? And I had this young mom who said, it wasn't low self-esteem that kept me dressing this way. It was apathy. And I thought that was a really strong word. And she walked into church and she actually sings at church. So she's up on stage. And we just talked about a few tweaks. And she's like, everybody said something to me after. And they said, you sang louder. You were glowing, you were shining. And she goes, I felt I didn't do anything different, but just wear what we talked about and changed my clothes. So I do think people notice. I think that there is a radiance that comes from within. Not only are you more confident, but I do think, again, it highlights your face. And when your face is highlighted, people are attracted to that, And I always make a big point when I'm out and about doing my grocery shopping, going to the drugstore, going to the post office, and I see someone wearing the right color. I don't tell her I'm a color now. I don't go through all that. I just said, you look fabulous in that color. And I'm like, give me a big smile if they're not smiling. And they're just like, who is this woman? I go, and they walk out like 2 inches taller.
When was the first time you listened to an episode of The Savvy Sauce? How did you hear about our podcast? Did a friend share it with you? Will you be willing to be that friend now and text 5 other friends or post on your socials anything about The Savvy Sauce that you love? If you share your favorite episodes, that is how we continue to expand our reach and get the good news of Jesus Christ in more ears across the world. So we need your help. Another way to help us grow is to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Each of these suggestions will cost you less than a minute, but it will be a great benefit to us. Thank you so much for being willing to be generous with your time and share. We appreciate you. Well, I love that you've mentioned Sherry Brandel because she's the one who founded Style by Color, but she was also a previous guest on The Savvy Sauce. So I'll make sure and link to her fantastic episode.
Great.
And I love her testimony. But, but with you, Carla, at Style by Color, do you ever keep records of the percentage of people who make up each category, or have you even noticed patterns of which ones are most or least common?
Yes. I think it depends on where you live. Because when we get all together for consultants, because we do have continuing education, I'm part of their professional development program. So I'm trained every month in something new, like whether it's hair or makeup or trends or just different things. But we get together once a year for our conference and we talk about where we live. It seems to me, and I live in Northeast Ohio, kind of between Cleveland and Akron, a lot of the women in my area seem to be softs. There's a lot of soft. I do a lot of soft. Very rarely do I do someone like me. Now, if you go down, I think in my family, I'm Italian. Most of my Italian relatives are deeps, not as clear as me because they have more of the olive skin. For some reason, I got this very light skin. I do tan, but I don't tan on my face for some reason. If you notice, my arms are darker than my face. So, I do think it kind of runs that way, kind of where you live, and maybe a little bit by, ethnicity or background. However, I have said to people, because we do this tonal color analysis, I can, there can be people who are clear that don't look exactly like me, because what am I doing? I'm comparing their hair to their skin to their eyes. I'm not comparing them to me. So I think that's what makes this unique and makes it very customizable for people. Yes.
That makes sense. Okay, and this may sound a little overly dramatic, but how have you seen this process improve someone's life?
Oh, wow. I wish I could read you. I mean, I have some testimonials here that I was just looking through last night and to, get prepared for this. One person said, when I looked at my closet, I felt overwhelmed. I kept buying new things, but none of them seemed to solve my problem. So many great pieces, but never seemed to be able to pull things together. Carla came to the rescue. Her instructions on preparing for our meeting were concise and clear, and our 90-minute session flew by. By the time we were finished, I was feeling so excited about all the new possibilities. Now I find it so easy to step into my closet, a place that once scared me. Take a quick look and decide what to wear for any occasion. Before, I just had my colors for shopping, but now I have the missing piece of fabric and fit and how to put it all together. So that's one of them. Another one said, thanks for being such an encouragement to me, for showing me how to dress and so I feel beautiful. I'm thankful that I've never struggled with self-esteem the way many women do, but for me, I had become very apathetic, knowing I could probably do better, but not really caring or getting frustrated when I tried didn't work the way I thought it should. You have helped me to see what many times I've picked close to the right colors or I've settled for good enough when I could have added pieces to make it beautiful. Thank you for listening and obeying what God asked you to step out into this vocation to make women feel beautiful from the inside out. You've been a blessing. So I do think it has changed women. I have had women say I spend less money, I spend less time, I feel more confident at work, I feel more confident, like she said, at church, being in front of someone. So yeah, I think it makes a measurable difference in people's lives if they apply it. I think there are women who are one and done that come in, they just want to know what their colors are and they walk out and, but even that does add something to your life, I think. So yes, I do think it makes a difference. It's definitely personally made a difference in my own life.
Hmm.
So
Anything you'd want to elaborate on that, how it's made a difference in your own life?
I think I had gotten into a rut kind of similarly to the testimonial I just read of someone of just, not caring. I had 4 kids at home. I was running everywhere. I wanted what was comfortable. I wanted what was quick. And what happened was I had gotten into this really gray phase, not realizing that the gray was really reflecting how I was feeling on the inside.
Mm.
And after I went to a speakers convention because I'm also a speaker, and Sherry actually did my colors. She was at this event. And so I met her in person, and we have become great friends since. I came home and I started changing it. And I have 3 boys and a girl. Who do you think noticed that I was changing before? It was my boys. And my one son said to me, I love that you're wearing brighter colors. It reminds me of when I was younger. That
Wow.
you always wore colors like that when I was little. Like I always remember my mom showing up and she was in, and he goes, and you haven't done that in a long time. And I thought, there's something more, like we were talking before about the psychology. I would also feel like it was a spiritual thing too for me, that I had kind of just settled in a lot of ways. And I think women think that they're hiding in bigger clothes or in drab colors because they are don't want to be seen, or they don't feel their worth, or they have shame, they have regret, they have all these things. And I used to also, when I would dress up and go places, have you ever had people say to you, why are you so dressed up?
Hmm.
Why are you wearing that? And it would make me shrink. It would make me feel awful. Like, I'm not trying to show you up. I'm not trying. This is what I like to wear. And I changed that total attitude around. And we would go out with the group of women. They're like, there you are, Carla. What are you wearing that for? And I said, you know what? I'm your fancy friend. Call me your fancy friend. You know, I'm going to dress up like your fancy friend. And when we go places, this is what I feel like. And I said, and if you want to wear sweats, I don't care. That's what makes you comfortable. That makes you feel good about yourself. But I feel like sometimes we dress for other women and other people before we dress for ourselves.
Well, that's really good. And even how you mentioned there's a spiritual component. I think of Jesus teaching on so many object lessons and that he would use something external to talk about the internal spiritual
Absolutely.
condition. And it reminds me of another guest, Jamie Erickson, who wrote the book on Holy Huga,
Yes,
just on that concept of our inner life will be reflected outwardly as well.
absolutely.
And last piece, just with the psychology, I do remember one thing with the psychology of color, just that when somebody is in their best palette, that we naturally trust them more. And so it's just unique,
Interesting.
all the things that we're probably unaware of, but this really does matter.
Right.
And,
Absolutely.
and so then beyond just our clothing, can you share some more of your best tips? I'm thinking makeup and jewelry color, print options, and just your general styling
Mhm,
tips.
mhm. I think one other demonstration that I do a lot too, that I do with women is I think we undervalue the importance of accessories. That you could take a very simple outfit and change it up with accessories. And it's not buying more clothes, it's just taking things off, adding things. And so I went to a women's group here in town and I wore a basic jumpsuit. And I told them, this is how I would wear this jumpsuit if I was just running out and about. And I put tennis shoes on. I put a simple necklace on, simple handbag. Went out. And they're like, great. I said, okay, now I'm going to meet some friends for lunch. Same jumpsuit. Put sandals on, put a little cardigan on, put a thicker necklace on. So I was teaching them you could take one outfit and style it 3 to 4 or 5 different ways just by accessories. So that's one tip I would say. Don't neglect or overlook accessories. The other thing is know what accessories work for your frame. If you've ever seen a woman who's like 5'10" wearing a purse this big, it doesn't work. Likewise, someone who's 5'2" wearing one of those huge, canvas tote bags. You've got to match your accessories to your frame, right? So if you're, 5'2" and under, your accessories need to be more delicate and smaller to fit you. Likewise, like someone was saying, but I love those statement necklaces that you wear. And I'm only 5, my mom is tiny. She's only like 5'1", 5'2". And I'm like, what you can do if you want to achieve that effect is layer your necklaces. They're all tiny and delicate. But if you put 3 of them together, you're giving the illusion of having something more, but it's not overpowering you. Something like that. So I think those 2 tips that women, can overlook is accessorize. And one tip that Sherry gave that revolutionized it for me, and I didn't believe her when she first told me this tip, and yet she stands by it, and now I stand by it. When we were growing up, my mom said that your shoes must match your purse or your handbag. That was a rule, right? Sherry does not believe in that rule. She says your shoes must match your hair. So I thought about that because I wear all different color shoes, but I had gone to a wedding that summer and I wore a red dress to the wedding. It's one of my best colors, right? But that was the time when those nude shoes were really popular. You know what I'm talking about? They were kind of patent and nude, and they were, rounded toe, high heel. And I thought, well, I'm not going to the prom, so I'm not going to buy red shoes, right? I need to buy a neutral shoe to go with a red dress. So I went back and looked at a picture of myself in that red dress, standing next to my husband in those shoes, and it looked like I was floating. I took that dress on, but again, I put black shoes on, and I took a picture of myself and I put them side by side because I needed proof. I need visual proof. Totally different look. Because what she says is when you're wearing all one color, a lot of times one color in outfit, your shoes and your hair frame your outfit. And I can show you picture after picture where it works. And when I speak to women, I put those pictures up there and they're like, oh, and I'm like, I know. Isn't that crazy? And she also says your handbag should match your hair, your everyday handbag. 9 times out of 10, I ask this question. If I give you $500 and you could go buy a really nice designer handbag, what color would you buy? 75 to 80% of women say what?
Probably black.
Black, right? They all say black. And then I'll show them pictures of how much better a woman looks pulled together when her everyday handbag. That doesn't mean you can't wear a pink handbag or, to spice up your outfit if it's part of your accessory look. That's not saying that. But your everyday standard handbag that you're going to invest money in that's going to be with you for several years should match your hair.
Wow, that is so interesting to me. And I think it would be fun to do pictures, the before and after, and just see that.
Yes.
Sometimes those visuals are helpful.
They help a lot. But you'll start noticing it now, or go online and start looking. I'll tell the women to do that and they'll be blown away.
Well, and now that we do have all of this information, how can we begin to edit or curate our closet?
So when I do a closet edit, I do give them some homework to do before I get there. And I ask them to go through their closet and do 3 to 4 things. First thing is pull out anything that you're going to donate or consign. Okay. If you haven't worn it in 2 years, if it's stained, If it's, that might be a throwaway, but you're going to make those piles, give away, throw away, and then maybe consign if it's something really good and This is also based on first having a color analysis. Like I said before, if you don't have a color analysis, it's very hard for me to go into your closet. Okay, so that's one thing you do. Next thing, we pull out anything that is seasonal from your closet. If you're not wearing it now because you live where I live and you're not wearing sleeveless or shorts or whatever, put that in a bin, put it away. The other thing is put away trendy, okay? Skinny jeans were a thing and everybody loved their skinny jeans. Do I think skinny jeans might come back? They might. If you still like them, if they still fit you, put them in a bin. Put your trending kind of clothes. Long cardigans aren't in right now. How many long cardigans do you have? You probably have 5. You probably have 6. And you probably love them. It's okay. I'm not telling you to throw them away. Put them in a bin. And we're going to store those someplace else. So there are certain things that you could start doing. The other thing that I think is very helpful is I line my closet up with my neutrals first and then my colors. White, black, and gray and navy are my neutrals. I line those up. Then I start lining up my colors and my patterns. So I think that's a very helpful way because, putting outfits together becomes a lot easier because I pick a neutral, I pick a pattern, I pick a color. Kind of like you're probably too young, Garanimals, where the kids had to match the tags when we were little. It's like we went to the store and there was a clothing line called Garanimals, and like you match the monkey with the monkey. The monkey had on the top, the tag was like a monkey and the tag on the bottom. There you go. There's your clothes. So, there are systems. I also love boutiques, and I'm noticing this more about boutiques that are color coded. There's a boutique in my town that you walk in and she's got all the beige and neutral colors here. She has all black and white here. She has all her blues here. And wow, it is easy to shop when they do that for you. And I think that's coming back. I'm seeing that more, like I said, in independently owned boutiques. I don't think you're going to find that as much. But even I went into the Loft the other day and they had their clothes kind of in a color. So that I think helps too. That helps a lot.
That's a great tip for organizing our closet. And is there any edit that you would want to make to our makeup bag or addition that you just think everybody should try?
We work with a company that does lipstick and lip gloss by color code. And it's called Lipstick Boss Beauty. And I sell that as well. And I think women underestimate the power of a lip. Now, because I'm so pale, I absolutely need it. You know what I mean? But even for people who aren't pale, she sells them by color code, and I have samples with me, and I always have women try it on, and they are so surprised at how it brings the look together. I know a lot of women are intimidated by a lot of makeup. I make up whatever, but I say if you put on a lip gloss, a good foundation and blush and mascara, you don't have to worry about the rest if you're not into it. If you're into it, great, go. But I also said, when you go to Sephora or Ulta or even your local drugstore that has a lot of good makeup that you probably can use, bring your colors with you. That will help you pick out a blush. That will help you pick out a lip color. But yeah, I think women totally underestimate just a simple lip gloss, tinted lip gloss or lipstick. I think it really pulls things together.
And I love that idea and just all of your offerings. So if anybody wants to give this a try, can you share more about the resources that you have available?
Yeah, I would think that the best place I would send them to is my website, which is just my name, www.carla with a C, Gasser, Gasser. And on there, there's a page that has all of my services. And one of the things on there that I keep telling women to take advantage of, you could book a free 15-minute consultation with me. I do that for everyone. If you just don't even know where to start and you're like, I just want to learn more. I just want to know how I could do this. Also, my first client ever was from Canada virtually. When I first got, you know, she had followed me for my faith resources and all of that. And when she saw I got certified, she reached out to me, and I can do virtual appointments. If you send in your photo to me, we have a whole system of plugging it in and working through it. And we put a whole presentation. I create a customized presentation for you, and I send it to you. But we talk like this, but you know, I take your photo and I put it into kind of capes like this, but they're digital, and we see. And so yes, but I would start with looking at my page and then booking that free 15-minute consultation to just ask me, you know, where do I start? What do you offer? And everything's listed there. So I also, if you want to be part of my email list, you could sign up online on that same page, and you get access to a free style personality quiz. Because style personality, we talked about it a little bit earlier, that you don't have to dress like me. Either we have 4 style personalities that we kind of curate, but I created a quiz so that you can kind of answer these questions and figure out, oh, I lean more towards this. And once we do that, then I can tell you more what places to shop, because I'm not going to send someone who is more of a casual, a natural chic to a Chico's. That doesn't fit their style. They would probably go to J. Jill. You know, so it's kind of that kind of a thing. So that's just a fun little freebie that I give away if you want to sign up. And my email list, I usually, my newsletter goes out almost every Tuesday or Wednesday with different tips. I give you links to things. I give you examples. I'm really good about showing you pictures of things. We talk about trends. We talk about all kinds of things. So yeah. And that's just, you know, you're free to be part of my newsletter.
That is incredible. We will certainly link to all of that in the show notes for today's episode, which you can find on your podcast platform, or if you go to savvysauce.com under show notes, you can find all of the links for today's episode. And are you willing to share what are those 4, did you say personality?
Yes, one is called natural chic. The next one is called classic modern. The third one is style fashionista. And the fourth one is creative original. And so I ask you a ton of questions based on like, what do you feel comfortable in, or what fabrics you like, and based on that, you add up, you know, kind of, and if you're mostly A's, you're this. If you're mostly B's, you're this, C's, D's. So it just helps you, because again, I think that is a missing piece for a lot of women. They don't know what their style is. And so they look at someone like, oh, I love that, but why doesn't that look good on me? I go, well, does it feel like you? Well, if it doesn't feel like you, then that's why you're not comfortable in it, you know? And like I said, you know, I like to push the envelope a little bit more. I am not going to be, you know, a classic modern. I am more of a style fashionista or creative original. I mean, I found this is like an old, in a boutique in Italy of all places. If you see, it's kind of like got these raw edges because they took a man's old suit jacket, cut it, and then put all these pearls on it. I mean, you're not going to find that. And not every person wants to wear something like crazy as that, but I love it, you know? So that's my personality. But someone else is just like, I just love silk and linen and good cotton, and I like to feel comfortable. Great. I can recommend tons of clothes for you and tons of places to shop.
I love that. Well, and I think that piece is so
Oh,
fun.
thank you.
And it's so great to see how you dress everything to your personality and you reflect beauty inside and
Oh,
out.
thank you.
But Carla, I think you may already be aware we're called the Savvy Sauce because savvy is synonymous with practical knowledge or insight. And so, as my final question for you today, what
Mhm.
is your savvy sauce?
I would say my savvy sauce is allowing God to transform me from the inside out and make me beautiful. I love the clothes. I love the fashion and the colors. I've talked to you about it for over an hour. I could keep talking about it. It is a passion of mine. But if there was a secret savvy sauce to that, it would be inviting God in to transform me and make me beautiful from the inside out. Because there are a lot of beautiful people out there, right? But if they're not reflecting God's beauty, then we're missing it. And when I want people attracted to me, it's so that I can share with them the hope that's within, not so I can tell them where to get the best shirt or wear the best color. I want to ultimately bring them the hope of Jesus. That's why I do it. So that's my savvy sauce.
Well said, Carla. You are a beautiful woman with a beautiful combination of giftings. I just love that you're a Bible teacher and a color analyst or consultant. And that's in addition to the many other roles that you hold. But practical chats really do help us to live intentionally. And you've done that for us today. So thank you for sharing your fascinating career with us. I love your expertise. And I really enjoyed getting to host you. So thank you for being my guest.
And thanks for doing what you're doing. I love stuff like this. This is great. And it's bringing women together. And like you said, it's giving them that practical knowledge that we all need and can look for. There's so many places that you can go to. And not all of that knowledge is uplifting or leading you in the right direction. So I'm thankful for people like you who do what you do as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. One more thing before you go. Have you heard the term gospel before? It simply means good news, and I want to share the best news with you. But it starts with the bad news. Every single one of us were born sinners, but Christ desires to rescue us from our sin, which is something we cannot do for ourselves. This means there's absolutely no chance we can make it to heaven on our own. So for you and for me, it means we deserve death and we can never pay back the sacrifice we owe to be saved. We need a Savior. But God loved us so much, He made a way for His only Son to willingly die in our place as the perfect substitute. This gives us hope of life forever in right relationship with Him. That is good news. Jesus lived the perfect life we could never live and died in our place for our sin. This was God's plan to make a way to reconcile with us so that God can look at us and see Jesus. We can be covered and justified through the work Jesus finished if we choose to receive what He has done for us. Romans 10:9 says that if you confess with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised Him from the dead, you will be saved. So would you pray with me now? Heavenly Father, thank you for sending Jesus to take our place. I pray someone today, right now, is touched and chooses to turn their life over to you. Will you clearly guide them and help them take their next step in faith to declare you as Lord of their life? We trust you to work and change lives now for eternity. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. If you prayed that prayer, you are declaring Him for me, so me for Him. You get the opportunity to live your life for Him. And at this podcast, we're called the Savvy Sauce for a reason. We want to give you practical tools to implement the knowledge you have learned. So you ready to get started? First, tell someone. Say it out loud. Get a Bible. The first day I made this decision, my parents took me to Barnes & Noble and let me choose my own Bible. I selected the Quest NIV Bible and I love it. You can start by reading the book of John. Also, get connected locally, which just means tell someone who's a part of a church in your community that you made a decision to follow Christ. I'm assuming they will be thrilled to talk with you about further steps, such as going to church and getting connected to other believers to encourage you. We want to celebrate with you too, so feel free to leave a comment for us here if you did make a decision to follow Christ. We also have show notes included where you can read scripture that describes this process. And finally, be encouraged. Luke 15:10 says, "In the same way, I tell you, there is rejoicing in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents." The heavens are praising with you for your decision today. And if you've already received this good news, I pray you have someone to share it with. You are loved, and I look forward to meeting you here next time.